Star Wars Rebels Season 3, Episode 16, Legacy of Mandalore. I really enjoyed this episode. I kind of wish that this was paired up with the last episode that we got, honestly. I kind of wanted to just go back and watch the last episode and then rewatch this episode all over again just to have like an hour's worth of like straight Sabine storyline, because I really loved the last episode and I really enjoyed this one too. We get to see them go to her home world. We actually don't get a lot of characters in this like I was expecting. I don't know why, I guess I just assumed like pretty much the whole team was going to go, but it was really just Sabine, Ezra, and Kanan, and even Chopper, although he was on the planet, he was in the episode less than Rao was. Like he sneaks off the ship and stuff, and Chopper just stays on the ship until the end of the episode, and he shows up, and they kind of even make a joke about it, like, yeah, you're here now that all the action's over. And it was just interesting. It was like, all right, we have really, for the most part, just three characters, and Rao, doing his thing as he sneaks throughout the episode, but it's talking about Sabine's family and her mother, her brother, her people in general, and who should lead Mandalore and who's going to be the new ruler, and her being seen as a traitor and stuff like that. And I love what they did with this episode. And it was a lot of the political stuff, which is kind of what I was expecting, just that family dynamic and really what her people had to go through, which I thought was cool. Like, even when they first get there, the first thing she says is like, be careful because I might be related to some of these people. And I thought that's actually a really odd thing to think of, that, they fight people all over the place. Mandalorians have basically, they've joined the Empire. And it was just like, hey, don't go flat out attacking them because I might be upset if you kill one of them because I might be related to them. And I thought that was really cool. And of course, we find out that he is related to one of them, and it ends up being her brother. So I thought it was just very well done, the way they went about the family dynamic and her dealing with her mother's kind of betrayal. Not really betrayal, not exactly, but just her mother's disdain for her and her entire people's disdain for her because of what happened, even though, of course, she had no idea what the Empire was going to do. And just all the things that led to that. And I just love the way it was all playing out. And I think it was just a really good episode. And then everything's going through and Rao finds out what's happening, in that Sabine's mother decides that she's going to protect her daughter, but she's going to get rid of the Jedi. So he's like, alright, well, time for me to do my saving mission. So he goes in, he gets their lightsabers, and of course, I can't even remember the guy's name. I think it was like Saxon. It was something Saxon or something like that. And so he comes in and is like, yeah, I appreciate that you got the Jedi, but naturally, as all villains, so whether it's Star Wars or not, every villain says, I was going to do that, but I changed my mind. So of course, he decides that he's going to take everyone out, and he gives Sabine's brother the option. He's like, you've been really loyal to me and stuff like that, so I'll give you the option to either side with me or die with your family. And he decides to stick with his family, and I love the way it happened. And of course, everything seems really bad. I'm like, alright, we got Kanan and Ezra. They can at least use their force powers a little bit. I mean, you still got people with blasters, so I don't know if they're that powerful where they can like stop a bolt in there. But it's like, all right, we'll see how this plays out. But fortunately, Rao comes in and it's like, boom, here's some lightsabers, and then people just start flying all over the place and stuff. And I was like, well, this is a cool action sequence. And then it got amazing during the end fight sequence. And so Sabine, at first, she saves her mom, and it was like, all right, that's simple enough because Ezra's like, Sabine here, and he throws her the lightsaber, and that was something that got me in the it was in the trailer for the mid-season premiere stuff, or like for the whole second half of the season. When I watched that trailer, all the Sabine stuff is what got me excited. There was the part with her just having the dark saber, and then there was a part with her having a green lightsaber, and I was like, I cannot wait for that to happen, where she actually fights with the lightsaber. And just one episode after the other, her doing like some amazing training stuff and the emotional elements of the last episode, and then we go into this where she confronts those emotional elements and deals with her family and just the Mandalorian dynamic and how everything is played out over the past couple of years. And then we get an amazing ending sequence where she's using Ezra's lightsaber to fight this dude, and he has the dark saber and she's fighting with an actual lightsaber, and it was a pretty intense battle, especially when the way it started, because at first it was like, okay, they did a couple blocks and stuff, and then he charges at her and uses his jetpack and like flies through the window, and so of course her jetpack breaks, and I was like, man, they just will not let her keep that thing permanently. So I'm sure she'll fix it, but It was broken during the fight, but she was amazing during that fight sequence, and I loved it. So they're going through. There was one part where she did like an amazing spin to dodge him or something, and she basically like tightened up and like spun around him. I was like, that looked really cool. And he starts to fly around and stuff, so he's flying above her and using his gun, and she's blocking and stuff. We get to see her use all of her tricks in this episode. The only thing that she didn't actually use was like the little whip thing, and I think that's what was destroyed in the last episode. But she uses the shield a couple of times. She uses like the little sonic pulse thing. She used that only one time, but we got to see her use a flamethrower, which I didn't know she actually had. So that was another extra little Mandalorian thing that they gave her for this episode. When he's flying up in the air and she runs on the rocks and jumps and just like shoots some flames at him to kind of mess with him. And then she's able to take him out because she hits the back of his jetpack, and they fight on the ice and everything, and she defeats him. And it was amazing. Like, I love that ending fight sequence, and it was very well done. It was very intense because, of course, they were going by Mandalorian rules, and Ezra was about to jump in to help her, but Sabine's mom stopped him and was like, by Mandalorian rule, no one can interfere. But, of course, Sabine ends up winning, so it doesn't end up being like a tragic situation or anything. But I love the fight scene. It was pretty much just amazing. Like, I really loved the way they did that. It was very intense, and she's able to defeat him. And at first, I was about to get really upset because I'm like, crap, they're going to do like the sad ending. And I figured it wouldn't be Sabine because they showed her brother and her mother. And I was like, he's going to do something. And of course, he tries to shoot Sabine. And I thought it was going to be that her brother got behind her just in time and he would end up being shot. And I figured that her mother would still survive. Because with her being the ruler, that's why I figured she wouldn't be the one to do it. Because in a sense, with the way their dynamic is, her brother was technically the expendable one, and I was like, crap, they're going to kill her brother off because he'll protect his sister. But fortunately, it was just that her mom ends up shooting the guy and killing him. So I was like, okay, that's much better than I thought, because I thought for sure that her brother would end up protecting her and he would sacrifice himself in the end, and that's how that episode would play out. But I was glad it played out the way that it did, where none of the heroes at least ended up dying. So that was really good. And then it got a little sad because Kanan, Ezra, and Chopper are like, all right, let's head out of here. Let's go back and we'll start to build up and work on what we're gonna do with the Mandalorians and kind of bringing them to our side to fight against the Empire. And Sabine is like, I'll do better here. And I was like, no, like that sucks to see. Like she's gonna be gone, because I know they aren't gonna focus on her like alone for like the next couple episodes, which personally speaking I would love that. I would not mind at all, but I just don't think they're gonna do that. Only Kanan and Ezra kind of get that privilege, I think, where they can have episodes where they're away from the entire team, and it's even if they're away from each other, it's just one of them. They're the only characters I think that could actually work with, or that they would do that with, just because they're the Jedi. But I would love to see it with Sabine, especially because there are so many dynamics with her going back to her people, and the betrayal dynamic, and of course the chaos. They even talk about it, like now that he's dead, there's going to be chaos, so they have to figure all this stuff out, and it's like that's almost like a story within itself. That could be its own little arc, depending on how long they wanted it to go for. That could definitely be its own thing. But it was really sad to see that that's how they're going to do it, and I'm assuming that before we even get to the season finale, the team will be reunited. But it's going to be weird not to have her like in the episodes, like knowing like, oh, she's not, it's not like, oh, she's out of this episode. We know that until they go back to Mandalore, she's not going to be in there. It's not like, with Hera and Zeb, they were just missing in this episode. It's like, no, Sabine's just not going to be in any of the episodes because she's on her home planet. So that really sucks to know that that's how it's going to play out. Like, if they're not on the planet, odds are we won't see Sabine. They'll probably do some stuff where she does show up at least, where they just have conversations with her. So that would be nice just to see her, because she is, honestly, she's probably my favorite one out of the whole team, just because I love Mandalorians, and her story seems to be the most exciting. Like, her and Kanan probably have the most interesting stories, and Kanan's backstory and stuff is explained through the comic series, so I know we won't really see too much of that within the actual series. So that's why I want to see the Sabine stuff the most, just because I think it's the most entertaining backstory out of all the characters. And Zeb has some really good stuff too, to be honest, and it's literally war, so that I'm sure that would be amazing if they actually showed us that, but we've already gone through his backstory and stuff. But it sucks to see a team member leave, even if it's temporary. But it was definitely a great episode, and I can't wait to see what they do when the team does go back. Maybe we will have the entire team go back to help Sabine, and that's when they'll be able to rally the rest of the Mandalorians and say like, hey, this is totally an accident. I didn't know the Empire would do this. They tricked me. They betrayed all of us, and then they made it seem as though I was the bad person, which is really the interesting part about it, is that everyone kind of hates Sabine for what happened, but I mean, she did take off, so that was a part of it. She couldn't explain herself because everyone just instantly assumed like she was a traitor. And considering they're Mandalorians, it kind of made a lot of sense to take off from the very beginning. Like, yeah, I can understand why she would have taken off without trying to explain herself too much, because it's Mandalorian. It's like that probably wouldn't make much of a difference. It's like kind of a narrow view sometimes with Mandalorian, so it kind of made a lot of sense why she would just take off. But it'll be interesting to see how they do this storyline. I mean, that's a big thing to have like all Mandalorians working with the Rebel Alliance to go up against the Empire. That's a big deal. So I don't know how the heck they're gonna play this out, but I'm very excited for it. Like I said, I really love this episode. All the Sabine stuff is just like, that's any time they focus on the character specifically, all I think of is I hope they do Sabine next. So 2 amazing episodes, and I don't know, if I get the chance, if I just have some free time, I might actually just watch this episode and the last one back to back, just to have like a full hour, because there were really 2 amazing episodes. I think the last one was a little bit better just because it focused a lot on the emotional side, and it was learning about the stuff that we never knew. So I think that's why there were a bit more reveals, and this was just her facing some of the things that were revealed in the last episode. And the emotion was kind of normal. It was kind of like just a normal episode where it's like, oh, this is something that we have to deal with. There are emotional elements here. But it felt like a more normal episode, is where the last one, they were away from all the characters. It was like, we're just out in the field. We are training Sabine to be something that she kind of needs to become, not something, that she is. So I think the last one, was just a little bit better, just because of that element where it was so focused on her emotionally. And this was just, they went through the episode, and that's kind of how it was. But it was still really good because it had more emotional impact than most typical episodes with the whole family dynamic. So still really loved it, but very excited to see what we're going to be getting next. Of course, would love to know what you guys think about this episode, though. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And I actually want to know how you guys feel about Sabine not being with the team for a little while. Because, of course, for me, that really sucks. She's like my favorite character on the team, but even outside of that, it's going to be weird to have that dynamic, even though they do split the teams up quite a bit. Like, even these past 2 episodes, I don't think Hera or Zeb were in it at all, and Chopper wasn't in the last one, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, they've had them split up a little bit recently, and they've definitely done that more so this season than I think they had in the past 2 seasons. But it's a different situation now. She's just staying home. It's not like, oh, she's off doing a different mission or any of that. It's very different. So I would love to know how you guys feel about her being away from the team for a little while. I don't know how many episodes we're going to have this season, so I don't have much of a guess for how long, how many episodes we're going to have without her. But hopefully it's not too many, like maybe at max 3 episodes, and then we kind of get back into it. I assume we're going to get in the 20s range for this, so have like 3 episodes, and then once we get to around like 17, maybe 18, episode 18 for the season, then bring her back in, so maybe like 3 to 5 episodes. But I'm excited to see where they go with this. Like I said, it sucks to see her go, but I know it's going to be temporary. But would love to know how you guys feel about her temporary departure from the team, and what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.